My name is Patrick Bateman. I'm 27 years old.
The legendary movie American Psycho, which is based on the contentious novel by Bret Easton Ellis, never fails to captivate viewers with its scathing depiction of 1980s yuppie culture and the life of Patrick Bateman, an investment banker in New York City who has a secret psychotic edge. In this in-depth look, we'll learn fascinating behind-the-scenes tales and uncommon perspectives that influenced this cult movie. These 23 astonishing facts will help you better understand the film's complex layers, from creative decisions to casting difficulties to the unexpected impact on Christian Bale's riveting performance. Get ready to explore American Psycho's aspects, which combine to create a terrifying and brilliant examination of identity and society beyond what is seen on screen.
Hey, Paul!
Designer labels initially refused to associate with the film due to its graphic content. Fashion houses are cautious about their associations in an era where image and branding are crucial. American Psycho encountered significant obstacles when attempting to form alliances with high-end brands. Luxury brands were forced to disassociate themselves from the film due to its brutal tone, which uses violence and vanity to illustrate the ethically bankrupt culture of Wall Street yuppies. At first, well-known brands like Calvin Klein and Armani avoided the project out of concern that being associated with its contentious issues would damage their reputations. Nonetheless, a few designers perceived a chance to interact with the film's harsh critique of consumerism. By skillfully placing strategic commercial references without forming formal collaborations, the filmmakers captured the essence of superficiality and attraction crucial to Patrick Bateman's universe. This choice avoided the overt support of cautious fashion titans, allowing American Psycho to remain authentic in its portrayal of its 1980s setting. The film's criticism of excess and prestige eventually came to represent the society it had so subtly upended, transforming early opposition into an unintentional tribute to its social commentary. Christian Bale used method acting and carefully selected a Seiko watch instead of a Rolex for Patrick Bateman. Christian Bale had to go deep into Patrick Bateman's mentality to fully commit to the part. The performer adopted method acting to capture Bateman's icy charm and cold elegance. One of his more intelligent decisions was to give Bateman a Seiko watch instead of the more conventional Rolex. This choice emphasized Bateman's exact persona, a man whose creatively styled facade belied inner distress. Bale insisted on a Seiko watch because the watch reflected Bateman's painstaking and well-crafted exterior and matched the character's taste, which was elegant but restrained, emphasizing wealth through subtle rather than overt displays. Co-stars were initially surprised that they had met the same person on and off-screen because Bale's makeover was so meticulous that he was hardly recognizable off-screen. Bale created a representation that went beyond conventional villainy by paying close regard to even the character's wristwatch. By combining style with calculated threat, he made a moment in cinematic history. Patrick Bateman's name is inspired by Norman Bates, linking two iconic psychopaths. The very name, Patrick Bateman, pays homage to another well-known fictional sociopath in American culture. Inspired by the notorious murderer Norman Bates from Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, Bateman is a contemporary portrayal of ageless psychological disorders and the horrors that lie beneath smooth exteriors. Bateman is an avatar of amorality and greed, created by author Bret Easton Ellis to represent the archetypal Wall Street predator of the 1980s. Ellis created a thematic genealogy that explores cyclical violence and alienation by referencing Bates through Bateman. This lineage extends from Bates's perverse matriarchal obsessions to Bateman's consumer-driven psychopathy. From mid-century repression to late 20th century hedonism, each character stands for a pillar of the cultural fears of their respective eras. Through the use of well-known horror tropes to highlight the changing face of darkness, this nuanced naming choice places American Psycho inside a larger statement on persistent societal themes. It questions the morals upholding these terrifying identities and creates a clear boundary between different cinematic eras, drawing audiences further into their shared, unsettling ancestry. Christian Bale's improvisation added depth to the character and film. In addition to extensive preparation, Christian Bale's portrayal of Patrick Bateman had moments of impromptu spontaneity that added to the film's drama. Bale's innate creativity improved several key passages in American Psycho. During the famed Huey Lewis and the News monologue, Bale's facial expressions and unnervingly cheerful delivery naturally developed over several takes. This was one such occasion. His ability to seamlessly transition between the endearing facade and the psychotic inside details of Bateman gave an authenticity that spectators found unnerving. Mary Harron, the director, supported this adaptable approach, believing that Bale's acute understanding of Bateman's illness would produce remarkable outcomes. This collaborative environment gave Bale the freedom to experiment, fusing horror and humor in a way that expressed the satirical narrative goal of Bret Easton Ellis. A chaotic, unexpected energy that lingers poignantly in popular memory counterbalances the polished facade of Bateman's aristocratic status, and each unplanned touch that Bale inserted nurtured a multidimensional portrayal of madness. David Cronenberg's original vision for the film was drastically different. Notoriety horror master David Cronenberg was considered to direct American Psycho before Mary Harron took it. Cronenberg, renowned for his take on psychological suspense and body horror, had a far different concept from the finished picture. His suggested adaptation sought to reduce the overtly violent elements of the book and move it into a more surreal psychological realm, emphasizing Bateman's illusions and how they materialize in a warped metropolitan setting. Rather than using overt gore, Cronenberg's method was to reveal the inner terror of Bateman's mind through stark visuals and existential dread. This conceptual approach highlighted similarities to David Cronenberg's work, renowned for its reflective horror studies. Cronenberg's vision provided a window into a different American Psycho that valued psychological horror over tangible horror, even if it was eventually never made. Examining this unique vision highlights the power of directing interpretation and the variety of narrative trajectories that fiction can take, all meant to frighten viewers with distinct artistic ideologies. Cronenberg wanted to cut all violence and end the movie with a musical number. One of the more surprising aspects of David Cronenberg's idea for American Psycho was the film's dramatic conclusion, which featured a musical piece rather than the usual horror flourishes. With his bold turn, Cronenberg's love of fusing surreal narrative with striking images would have come together in a novel way, reinterpreting Bateman's disorderly mind. It was intended for the proposed musical conclusion to parallel the story with a raucous celebration of pleasure and as a surrealistically encapsulating representation of Bateman's spiraling delusions and the film's indictment of consumerism and hedonism. Although this decision may appear strange initially, Cronenberg wanted to use the orchestral crescendo to blur the lines between reality and illusion, grounding the narrative in Bateman's fractured mind. By presenting American Psycho as more than a dark satire, this decision showcased Cronenberg's signature ability to subvert audience perceptions and thematic expectations. It also served as an experimental statement on media and consumerism. Even though it never happened, this vision makes people wonder what could have happened if Cronenberg's plan had been realized. Leonardo DiCaprio's casting as Bateman led to Mary Harron's temporary firing. There's a noteworthy episode in the turbulent American Psycho production history involving Leonardo DiCaprio. When DiCaprio was first cast as Patrick Bateman, his star power significantly increased the film's profile and changed its artistic direction. There were worries that DiCaprio's popularity as a romantic lead following Titanic would distort the movie from its dark, satirical origins into a more marketable one. These tensions ultimately caused director Mary Harron to temporarily leave the production because she had initially planned for Christian Bale to play the lead. The studio aimed to capitalize on DiCaprio's global appeal by rewriting the script to make the plot palatable to a broader audience. The ensuing conflicts, however, highlighted the divergent creative goals between artistic vision and financial feasibility. In the end, DiCaprio left the film, allowing Herron to be back in the lead role and for her original casting preference of Bale. Ultimately, the film's alignment with its intended scathing satire is restored, since this period of uncertainty emphasizes the negotiations within the filmmaking process and reveals how casting affects narrative direction and production relations. Gloria Steinem's marriage to Christian Bale's father raised suspicions about her involvement. Interesting allegations of outsider influence surfaced when Christian Bale was being considered for the role of Patrick Bateman. One such charge included feminist icon Gloria Steinem. Some have claimed that Steinem, who was married to Bale's father then, used her influence to downplay the notion of another star like DiCaprio taking on such a violent part, maybe suggesting to Bale that he should reconsider his pursuit because of the content. These rumors, albeit mainly unverified, showed Hollywood's gossip industry may believe personal relationships impact career choices. Herron's unwavering faith in Bale's abilities and commitment to presenting difficult, nuanced characters were more influential in his hiring. The mystery surrounding Steinem draws attention to the complex relationships between intimate relationships and public career decisions, where rumors and speculation might take precedence over actual considerations. Bale's casting ultimately resulted from a perfect fit between actor and part, putting aside unimportant details about familial relationships and enabling Bateman's character to flourish under Bale's passionate interpretation. Bale based Bateman's persona on Tom Cruise's charisma. Tom Cruise, a real-life celebrity, provided Christian Bale with surprising inspiration when portraying Patrick Bateman's unnerving charm and charisma. This decision made it easier to depict Bateman as a person whose clean appearance concealed a darker emptiness, which is crucial to the character's eerie appeal. Bale observed that Cruise's outward appearance, characterized by a great deal of warmth and an almost empty interior satisfaction, seemed to him to be a perfect fit for Bateman's character. Bale crafted a subtle and terrifying figure, drawing inspiration from Cruise's candid television presence to create Bateman's spooky polish and disturbing grin. This choice gave Bateman's performance a paradoxically complex quality that echoed the public's obsession with celebrity personas and their possible detachment from real humanity. Bale showed how real-world observations may be skillfully manipulated to create complex cinematic characters that attract and unsettle audiences by injecting Bateman with traits taken from celebrity society. Christian Bale nearly lost the role due to budget constraints. Negotiations over money were so intense during Christian Bale's journey to play Patrick Bateman that he almost lost the role. Mary Herron insisted that Bale was the best option, but studio bosses first sided with DiCaprio's casting suggestion to get a higher box office draw. When there were worries that the movie needed a well-known lead actor to be financially successful, Bale's relatively unknown status became a subject of contention. Luckily, he showed impressive dedication with his unwavering commitment, which included keeping up his physical conditioning for months while negotiations were on and off. Bale funded some of his preparation for the job with unprecedented thoroughness to maintain consistency between periods of development pause. Bale's perseverance eventually persuaded the producers of his enormous talent, guaranteeing his place in cinematic history. The story highlights the importance of perseverance in overcoming commercial uncertainty by illuminating how decisions in the industry frequently balance creative vision and financial considerations. Bale's perseverance is a testament to his unyielding resolve, leading him to embody character depth in memorable ways. Bale and Mary Herron watched porn together to prepare for sex scene framing. To get the desired sexual dynamics and visual tone for American Psycho, Christian Bale and director Mary Herron adopted an unusual approach. They watched porn together. This special training aimed to comprehend and imitate the mood required for Bateman's personal yet transactional interactions in the movie. They examined explicit scenarios to further convey the fragmented character of the connection and illustrate Bateman's inner complexity and detachment. This meticulous approach demonstrated their dedication to balancing thematic resonance and graphic portrayal, ensuring the scenes functioned as essential story elements rather than unnecessary additions. Authenticity was assured during production thanks to Bale and Herron's partnership, highlighting the character's tendency for objectification and emotional uncertainty. The choice is consistent with their meticulous attention to detail in executing Bret Easton Ellis's vision while analyzing the larger conversation about masculinity and power, guiding directing and performance with a thoughtful consideration of form and function that cuts through superficial material. The sound of card removal symbolizes masculinity and status. The seemingly little act of removing a card in American Psycho has deep symbolic meaning that challenges conventional standards and masculinity. In a scene that has become iconic in the movie, Patrick Bateman's world falls apart when he sees business cards that are more dazzling than his own. The perfect sound of the card being removed from its case is used as a metaphor for the fragile masculine ego and status struggle. This emotionally charged moment, where every scrape and snap of cardboard represents Bateman's mental agony and inadequacy against perceived competition, is a perfect example of how power and identity are interwoven with material representations. The movie skillfully employs dramatic sound design to enhance this underlying tension, turning an ordinary activity into a profound understanding of Bateman's mental state. The scene breaks down ideological conceptions of success and exposes the deeply rooted fears they impose, emphasizing the demands of a society where surface aesthetics determines value. This solidifies the scene's status as a masterclass in communicating more profound ideas through acoustic simplicity. Playing cards in the film were deliberately misspelled and off-center. These disparities draw attention to the film's indictment of a society in which fragility and underlying flaws are hidden behind a facade of perfection. Filmmakers use these intentional mistakes to highlight the ridiculousness of the ambitious facade that Wall Street yuppies, including Bateman, try to create. It casts a symbolic light on the imbalances of the outside world and serves as a mirror for seemingly perfect but inherently flawed professions. The movie examines the gap between what is shown and what is hidden by embracing visual subtext. This theme runs throughout Bateman's crazy journey. Music rights were difficult for American Psycho to secure. In American Psycho, music is crucial as a narrative device and a cultural anchor. Gaining the rights to songs from the 1980s that became famous and were essential to Bateman's identity proved difficult because of the film's sensitive subject matter and possibly the artist's unwillingness to collaborate. Eventually, despite several setbacks, the soundtrack included well-known songs like Phil Collins' Sussudio and Huey Lewis and the News' Hip to Be Square, which furthered the disturbing contrast between Bateman's violent impulses and his luxurious lifestyle. Despite these obstacles, the production crew persevered to keep the musical components emphasizing thematic satire. The end products show how the carefully chosen music reinforced the contrast between Bateman's refined exterior and moral deterioration. This perseverance is an example of the creative effort to successfully strike a balance between artistic vision and practical limitations, ensuring that the music complements Bateman's psychological duality and elevating American Psycho to the status of a daring critique of consumer culture where soundtracks have a meaningful narrative resonance. Christian Bale met the book's author, Bret Easton Ellis, entirely in character as Patrick Bateman. During Christian Bale's absorption into Patrick Bateman's universe, he had a memorable encounter, conducted totally in character, with novelist Bret Easton Ellis. This decision highlighted Bale's methodical approach and gave Ellis a close-up look at the real-life embodiment of his fictional creation. Through his interactions with Bateman, Bale demonstrated his comprehension and interpretive depth of character representation while navigating Ellis's book's psychological nuances and complexity. Additionally, it allowed for a cross-medium dialogue to occur, fusing performance interpretation with authorial purpose and giving Ellis confidence regarding the deference with which his work was represented. This devoted involvement demonstrated the nexus between literary and cinematic storytelling, echoing the cooperative harmony required to convincingly bring complex characters to life. Bale improved Bateman's unsettling image through this interaction, expanding on Ellis's structure to create a dynamic, breathing continuation of the story's indictment of materialism, affluence, and moral vacuousness. Ultimately, the experience enhanced Bale's performance on screen and Ellis's artistic vision. The font on Paul Allen's business card matches the film's title sequence and credits. Visual texture is incorporated into the font selection in American Psycho, where Paul Allen's business card reflects critical thematic elements. The card's elegant serif font perfectly aligns with the movie's title sequence and credits and represents connectivity through Bateman's well-groomed world. This well-thought-out design decision highlights recurring visual themes and creates a link between the storyline of the movie and the external appeal of Bateman's universe. The font serves as a subtly suggestive marker for the narrative universe, illustrating how small elements like this help to establish thematic expectations of duplicity and professionalism. It perfectly encapsulates Bateman's painstakingly constructed facade and constant peer competition, signifying his desperate desire to be accepted by society and receive approval. The film substantiates its complex commentary on identity and the pressures inside the hierarchical consumer landscape by guaranteeing coherence between design aspects across multiple cinematic components. This invites audiences to analyze the inherent paradoxes of aesthetic perfection. Christian Bale faced doubts, but ultimately succeeded in the role. Industry insiders who questioned Christian Bale's abilities to play such a problematic part were skeptical of his journey to embody Patrick Bateman's character. Since Bale was not well known, many doubted his ability to direct a picture with a strong psychological theme and depth. Bale thoroughly researched Bateman's illness in response to skeptics, demonstrating extraordinary self-control in fusing his slick exterior with erratic inner darkness. He revealed that, with each layer of Bateman, his preparation involved paying close attention to body and presence, which altered perceptions. Bale dispelled doubts with unwavering conviction and a riveting, multi-layered performance that is now a pillar of his illustrious career. His victory over his early doubts emphasizes the value of tenacity and commitment, highlighting confidence in one's ability to surpass expectations. Ultimately, Bale's portrayal proved that unadulterated skill and dedication could take a performer above established boundaries, enhancing American Psycho and his creative legacy. Bale became Bateman despite warnings about being typecast as Bateman. The severity of Christian Bale's portrayal of Patrick Bateman's after American Psycho raised possible concerns about typecasting in his career. Beyond this shadow, though, Bale demonstrated his adaptability by taking on the role of Bruce Wayne in Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy. Bale's acting versatility and depth were demonstrated in the transition from Bateman to Batman, as he used his energy to depict characters with sharp contrasts. Batman stood as a symbol of justice entwined with ethical complexity, showcasing Bale's capacity to shift between ideological spectrums, whereas Bateman stood for moral degradation and superficiality. Bale's demonstrated ability to navigate the dark intricacies of characters, guaranteeing realism and empathy within classic portrayals, supported Nolan's casting choice. Bale's transformation encapsulated the complexity of his acting ability, bolstering a career trajectory characterized by memorable parts and a skillful avoidance of typecasting problems, strengthening his ability to transition between various narrative identities. Bale's precision and performance mirrored his accuracy in American Psycho and Batman. Christian Bale's method in American Psycho set the stage for his subsequent portrayal of Batman, a blend of subtlety and accuracy in both parts. Bale developed meticulousness as Patrick Bateman, emphasizing his contrasting personas and striking a balance between attraction and repulsiveness. This commitment was evident in Gotham, as Bruce Wayne had to switch between the roles of charismatic billionaire and watchful guardian with ease. Bales's quest for a flawless character portrayal resulted in psychological depths in Batman that mirrored Bateman's lucidity. His portrayal balanced meticulous craftsmanship and emotional rhythm, resonating in small elements like Bateman's attire selections and Batman's unwavering resolve. Emotional and ethical dualities had to be carefully articulated for each character, and authentic actions and expressions had to be used to harness a restrained intensity. Art can transform through dedication and understanding of character complexities. Bales's legacy as an actor capable of impactfully and deftly interpreting the myriad spectrums of protagonists has been furthered by his practiced precision, which has fostered deeply immersive experiences. The American Psycho book was banned in Germany and shrink-wrapped in Australia. Beyond the realm of film, American Psycho sparked a debate that influenced societal perspectives by bringing up regulatory issues with its source material. Because of its visceral content, Bret Easton Ellis's novel, characterized by vivid imagery and moral commentary, was banned in Germany. Meanwhile, shrink-wrap laws were implemented in Australia, mandating adult-only sales to limit exposure. These actions brought to light the deep unease society felt about the book's examination of violence and materialism, echoing worries that reading could impact readers outside the purview of art. These regulations read American Psycho in the context of a broader conversation about society's openness to discussing forbidden topics and implicit criticisms of materialism-driven culture. On the other hand, these responses heighten interest in the piece, frequently expanding its boundaries. The turbulent voyage of the novel highlights the power of art to elicit reflection and conversation, as well as the changing role of cultural guardianship in guiding expressive forms that carry significant criticism. Memorable reminders of art's transcendence dialogue with moral standards and identity norms are provided by both the book and the movie. American Psycho 2 starred Mila Kunis as Bateman's killer, though it wasn't meant to be a sequel. American Psycho 2, which starred Mila Kunis as Bateman's potential killer, diverged from the reflection of the first film to provide a very different story. The sequel designation was applied retroactively when first released, showing Kunis's character traversing other thematic areas from Ellis's world. This adaptation demonstrated the branding strategy method, which pursues the audience of a well-known property while pivoting continuity towards commercial strategies regardless of narrative coherence. Although it lacked the original's depth of socio-cultural critique, Kunis's involvement offered a distinctive examination of consequences within the franchise. Although the sequel did not follow the thematic lineage of American Psycho, Kunis's portrayal broadened discussions about the malleability of franchises and consumer demands. The differences between the original and sequel encourage viewers to understand intertextual linkages beyond uniform storytelling, reflecting the complexity of ties among creative sectors and brand expansions. American Psycho 2 continues to symbolize more general conversations about appropriations in progress and differing reactions from viewers, highlighting changes in the intersection of artistic heritage and economic interests. Bales's discipline extended to his physical transformation for the role. The physical metamorphosis of Christian Bale for American Psycho demonstrated an incredible dedication that very few performers possess. Bale started a rigorous exercise program that transformed Bateman's body into a picture of 1980s dreams, defined, refined, and painstakingly jazzed. His food restrictions and strict workout regimen mirrored Bateman's extreme devotion while fitting with more prominent themes about pursuing the arts at the expense of oneself and society. The focus of the body's cultural meaning in American Psycho visualized Bateman's superficial perfectionist dedication to materialism and moral vacuity. Character authenticity was enhanced by Bales's unrelenting preparation, which highlighted the ethical weaknesses in the story revealed in Bateman's exterior deceit about internal contradictions. His transition revealed the visual language power of acting in representing psychological ideas, echoing Bateman's compulsive order wrapped in physical attractiveness. Cinema's wider storytelling potential is reinforced by art manifested via transforming dedication, which leads viewers through emotive manifestations of identity entwined with narrative discovery. Cronenberg wanted to remove restaurant and nightclub scenes from the film. The final cut of David Cronenberg's American Psycho differed significantly from the theatrical version, with several scenes, such as those at restaurants and nightclubs, not included. Cronenberg wanted to explore deeper introspective analyses of Bateman's psychic emptiness by shifting the narrative's focus away from locations that epitomized sterile material affluence. This custom adaptation would probably veer more toward surrealism and abstract explorations rather than overtly opulent visuals. Scenes bathed in iconographic elegance were left out, indicating a study of emptiness via imagination instead of excess and a departure from Cronenberg's analytical hallmark approach. Cronenberg's method demonstrated the variety of narrative possibilities that might result from adaptations reacting differently to the source material, even though this version was never produced. Examining possible omissions highlights innovative options that are disrupted by made judgments and elicit audience participation by subverting expectations and changing thematic approaches. These visions underline the film's versatility and appeal, highlighting the roots of inquiry fiction provides, each conceivable story opening up new intellectual vistas that emerge distinctively via the flexibility of the artistic lens.
If you've watched the video till here, that means you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell icon